Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. More specifically, a brand new Albums I Missed video. Wow! That's right, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and even the people who get mad at me for saying non-binary pals. It's that magical time of the month, at the end of the month, or the beginning of the month, or however when this video falls, where we talk about a bunch of music that came out in the month that we didn't already talk about. Wow! And I hope you like death and black metal, because quite frankly, there was a lot of it in February 2025. Like, this video is like 90% death or black metal. Like, all the way. First up, we have a Sonication, brand new full-length studio album from German technical death metal crew Obscura. A lot of people expected that I would review this album, and a lot of people were disappointed that I did not. And the reason why I did not is a lot more simple than you think it is. I simply didn't want to. I didn't really feel like it. Like, I didn't feel or think that there was anything I could add to the conversation about this album that wasn't already being said, that wasn't already being covered. Simultaneous to that, I wasn't really sure how to tackle the allegations of plagiarism. I just wasn't sure I wanted to touch that, and also wasn't sure how even to do it. So I kind of decided, you know what? Albums I missed pile. It's fine. It's all good in the hood. At least in my hood. I don't know about your hood, but my hood's fine. I'll say this real quick, though, because I think a lot of people still want and expect me to say something about this album. If you like Obscura, you're very likely also going to like this album. It's a decently crafted, produced, and executed tech death shred fest with all the pyrotechnics and dynamics and melodies and surgically precise, over-the-top, flashy bits and pieces that I think we've come to expect from Obscura at this point. It does feel a little stale and formulaic in some parts, and the shadow of the allegations of plagiarism hangs pretty heavy over certain parts of this record, but, you know, all things considered, it's by no means a terrible record, and if you like tech death and Obscura, then you'll probably like this. Next up, we have Amphibians' brand new EP from Greek symphonic death metal crew Septicflesh. Look, EPs are never the most bountiful. I'm never expecting 30 to 45 minutes of stuff. I'm never expecting a band's best material on an EP. Bands very often use EPs to just kind of like put something out there, get rid of some older material, maybe hype up an even bigger project. So I wasn't expecting a 5 out of 5 masterpiece, but I was expecting a little bit more, and I definitely did not get that. Now, don't get me wrong, it's by no means a horrible EP. Cuts like Amphibians and The Experiment are chock full of, you know, muscular, meaty riffage and symphonic bluster and bombast and melodrama and most of the things that I think people want and expect from Septicflesh. But I don't know, it's not exactly wowing me, and I feel like in trying so hard to be so big and so important and dark and brutal, it just looks kind of goofy, like a little corny here and there. And I'm not really digging pretty much the entire second half of this EP, which is dedicated to orchestral versions of apparently pre-existing songs. I mean, I say apparently because one of the songs, History Repeats Itself, the orchestral version, I can't find the regular version anywhere. Is this an unreleased cut? Is this like a standalone single that got lost with time? Was this a bonus track on some album a bajillion years ago? I don't know, I'm genuinely asking here. I don't know. It's fine, though, I suppose. I would have liked more original stuff. I also would have liked stuff that just has a little bit more punch and wow and spice, but hey, the Septicflesh fans will dig it, and that's who this is for, so fuck it. Next up, we have 9, brand new full-length studio album from American metalcore crew Bleeding Through, and I'm gonna cut straight to the chase with this one, because I did not know that this band was still around or that this album existed until the album basically came out. And also, I will very likely forget that both exist shortly after the release of this video, because this album did absolutely nothing for me. I don't know. I guess I appreciate some of the darker elements here, some of the eerier, edgier tones and vocals and such, and like these almost kind of like symphonic black metal-esque synths and strings here and there, and guest appearances from members of God Forbid and Shadows Fall and Comeback Kid. You know, they do their best to throw in a little bit of extra zest and spice and flavor. But ultimately, despite this album's best efforts, I was bored. Straight up. I was not into it. I didn't care. I barely got through my first listen to this thing. I am in no rush. I have no desire to re-listen to it again. And that's it. I really got nothing to say. I was just bored. Oh boy, I'm so excited because next up we have Balls to the Wall Reloaded, brand new album from Dirkschneider. That's Udo Dirkschneider, former lead singer from Accept. Remember them? German heavy metal band. Remember their album Balls to the Wall? This is the new version of that. It's reloaded. It's better. It's more modern. It's new. It's fresh. And it's filled with special guests like Millie Petroza from Creator, Joachim Broden from Sabaton, Michael Kiske from Halloween, Danko Jones, Dee Snider, Doro, Tim Ripper Owens, the #1 Rob Halford copycat alive. If it wasn't for Rob Halford, this man would not have a career. I don't care how hot of a take that is. It's the fucking truth. This album was not good. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. I did not like it. I really did not like it. First off, the production, completely stripping the heft and grit of the original songs, opting for a cleaner, but also flatter and more empty feeling kind of sound. Like, none of the instrumentals have any impact none of the instrumentals have any weight or impact whatsoever. Bass especially feels non-existent here. It just sounds and feels really basic and cheap, you know, like a collection of karaoke backing tracks. And similarly, a lot of the people on this album, especially Udo himself, they treat this like they are just doing karaoke. Udo's voice in general is starting to sound real rough. It's been a long time since I really heard anything from him, and I had completely forgotten how, like, nasally and shrill his voice was. Like, I am not fucking with it at all right now. He sounds like modern day Steve Souza, like a weird mixture of Linda Belcher and the Green Goblin. It's pretty early in the year, but we might already have a contender for like worst classic old school heavy metal record of 2025. Do yourself a favor, just go listen to the original album. Way better, through and through. Next up, we have Volume 6, brand new full-length studio album, and the first in nearly 16 years from Canadian thrash metal crew Sacrifice. Pretty solid record. Pretty fun. Pretty tasty, old-school thrash metal, firepower and fury and venom and brutality. Perhaps not as mind-blowing and provocative and insightful as Chris Thrash of apparently now Banger TV fame would have you believe, but nevertheless, a pretty solid record. It's chock full of tasty, thrashy tunery, which in turn is chock full of razor-sharp riffs and big, fun, eclectic guitar solos and pounding percussion and venomous, acidic, spiteful, in-your-face lead vocals. Stuff like Comatose, We Will Not Survive, Antidote of Poison, Your Hunger for War. It'll get all the mosh monkeys fired up and pumped up and flinging beers and throwing fists and jumping and bumping into each other. Overall, a very well-made, solid, fun record. I may not share Chris Thrash's overall enthusiasm, but I do definitely see where it's coming from and why it's there. Next up, we have Amidst the Ruins from Saor, or Saor? Saor? I'm not sure. Scottish black folk metal. Wow! These guys are so fucking consistent. They have a real knack for creating beautiful, immersive, grandiose, folk black metal. I love how lush and vibrant the strings are on this record. I love how massive the melodies are while retaining the fury of the actual black metal music. I love how mystical and ancient it feels. I love how emotive it is. I love how robust and cinematic it is, too. This is also, I would say, Saor's or Saor's or whatever, their most progressive album to date. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's very densely layered and very well put together. There are different segments. There's chanting vocals and moaning vocals, a variety of different strings. It's very atmospheric. It's very powerful. I'm realizing now that there actually is kind of a lot to talk about here, and I really should have just gone ahead and done an album review. Yeah. Oh well, at least we get to talk about it here together in some capacity right now. That's something. That's better than nothing, at least, I feel. It's an absolutely fantastic record, arguably Saor's best record to date. I'm sticking with Saor. That just feels right to me somehow. I don't know. I'm going to find out soon enough. Check it out if you have not done so already. It's great. Next up, we have A Pathway to the Moon, brand new full-length studio album from Canadian crew Unreqvited, who previously dabbled in very lush and emotive instrumental black gaze and post-metal, but now dabble in a lot of things, I guess. They made some big changes with this record. While elements from black gaze and post-metal are still present on the album and still overall inform Unrequited's sound, there's also a lot more progressive and avant-garde stuff on this record, and also Unrequited is now fully incorporating vocals into the sound, clean vocals and harsh vocals. It's dynamic and eclectic and totally unpredictable, and much like other Unrequited albums, still very lush and very emotive. It reminds me a little bit of Between the Buried and Me in certain parts, a little bit of My Bloody Valentine in other parts, and it also brings to mind a weird fusion of like multiple eras of Lantlos, like Neon and Agape era Lantlos, and then also Melting Sun, Wild Hunt Lantlos, all brought together. Unrequited took a very big risk and made some very big changes to their sound on this album, but in my opinion, it paid off. It was worth it. This is a great record. Doesn't really sound like anything else that's out right now. I highly recommend it. You definitely need to check this out. Don't make the mistake that I initially made. Don't miss this. Next up, we have Crimson Moon Evocations, brand new album from blackened death metal crew Sepulchral Curse. I like this. I like it a lot. I like the cosmic, consuming feel and sound of this record. I love the vibe and the aura of this record. It's crushing, it's dark, it's powerful. Everything just sounds so big and so important. If you had told me this album was put together underneath a ritual, underneath an actual crimson moon, I think I would believe you. Filled with dread and atmosphere, plus also beefy, bulky, thick as fuck riffage all the way through, constantly towering over you, bulldozing you into a little flat, little fleshy pancake. One could maybe make the argument that some of the longest songs on the record would benefit from a little bit of excess fat being trimmed off, but to be fair, there's not a lot of excess fat, and honestly, it's kind of juicy. I don't think I want to trim it off, you know what I mean? And like also, the album still wraps up in like 40 minutes, so fuck it. Live a little. Eat the fat, loser. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you a loser. That's not fair. That's not nice. That being said, I'll do it again if you don't listen to this album. Next up, we have Ashen Womb, a brand new full-length studio album from Phrenelith. Not really too familiar with these guys, but hey, if there are other albums or anything like this, I'm gonna have to change that. I'm gonna have to check them out. This is some pretty sick shit. This album just has a really uneasy, eerie kind of feel and vibe to it, and it works so well. Like, it's got a really gross, gnarly guitar tone, and it's got tons of rampaging riffs, and powerful fucking drums, and very in-your-face vocals. And it has some atmospheric elements, and it's able to sound really big and really important without doing anything like really complicated or really crazy. Like, I feel like if Krallish tried to go ahead and do an underground death metal record, maybe it would sound something like this. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but that's just the vibe I'm kind of getting here. It's also more varied and versatile than one would initially think, especially on the latter half of this record, where you do have these more chaotic moments, you do have these more stormy and insane moments, and you do also have these slower, more quieter, more emotive and drawn-out moments with more lurching riffs, more doomy parts. Very cool stuff here, in my opinion. If you're in the mood for some underground death metal that'll turn your guts a little bit, definitely check this out. Next up, we have Salmus Mortis, debut album from technical death metal supergroup Retromorphosis, featuring current and former members of Obscura, Necrophagist, Decrepit Birth, and Spawn of Possession. Obviously, with a lineup that killer, with a combined resume that cool, you would expect some killer, cool technical death metal jams, and that's exactly what you get on this Retromorphosis debut. It's visceral, it's sharp, it's intelligent, it's technical as all holy hell, but it's not a total fucking wank fest. It's not a pissing contest, you know? This isn't in the vein of something like Archspire or God knows whatever fucking unique leader's ass fucking tech death band. Like, these guys actually remember, hey, we gotta write songs. We can't just widdly-widdly-woo all day. And to complement the technical insanity, provide a foundation for it, embolden it, we are as such given some pretty crushing death metal all the way through. Powerful. I like these slower, more ominous sections as well, like these Morbid Angel-esque, Immolation-esque kind of grooves and towering sections with more epic, technical, intelligent kind of metal shit kind of thrown on top of it. Bass has a super nice, prominent, funky, stank-ass fucking tone and feel as well. Definitely love that. And it's just badass and cool as hell, honestly. I considered doing an album review for this, and I think had I done so, we would have gone ahead and given this a 4 out of 5. Next up, we have In His Blood, brand new album from Vacuous, and I'm really liking this album as well. What a great month for black and death metal. Holy fucking shit. I know we already said this in the very beginning of this review, but I need to say it again. Wow. Anyways, really gruesome, urgent, powerful, crushing shit. Surprisingly quite eclectic too. You have these slow-moving, kind of like doomy, sludgy moments, and everything has like a noisy, crusty kind of feel as well. Lots of atmospheric sections, some very jagged, unorthodox riffage here and there. Like, it packs a pretty twisted little punch and keeps you on the edge of your seat, you know, excited for the next twisted little punch, I guess. Like, you're into it. You're a sick fuck, I guess. I don't know. Your life, your business, not mine. Totally bleak, totally brutal, unrelenting, uncompromising, bloodthirsty, great stuff. Definitely check this out as well. Hey, guess what? My camera died. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that just great? Isn't that just totally awesome and great? It's actually fine, though, because we were pretty much near the end of the video. There's only one more album I want to talk about, so we're going to do so with a brand new microphone and also with no audio component. I apologize. Nightside from Grima, or Grima. They are a Russian atmospheric black metal band, and I had quite a few requests to review this album, but personally, I was way more interested in Havocrunu. That was the album that had my attention. I'm happy that I chose that album instead, because I do prefer that album, but I can definitely see why people were requesting this. It's cold and warm simultaneously, with flurries of frosty black metal riffage, but also some very emotive melodies, some very bright atmospheres and textures. It makes for a really cool experience. It's lush, it's powerful, it's epic. There's a lot of heart and a lot of fury here. It's very immersive. It's very easy to find yourself sucked into this album and kind of crushed by its waves of black metal madness. I do think in certain parts it would benefit from pulling back a little, or at least having some more quiet and solemn moments to provide some fresh air, to provide some color and dimension and contrast. But overall, a really cool record, very well made, and I can definitely totally see why y'all were asking me to look at this album. And voila, that is it. Albums I missed, February 2025. I talked about a lot of albums, but as per the norm, there's always something else I missed, so let me know in the comments what else is out there, what else you've been listening to. Let me know what you thought of these albums also as well. Make sure you join us on Discord, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Boom, other videos elsewhere, somewhere, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.